Welcome back to Conquering Algebra 2. We're on lesson 16 today and we're going to talk about multiplying and dividing polynomials. So here I have a binomial is being multiplied by a trinomial. Remember, binomial means it has two terms, trinomial means it has three. And when we're multiplying, we've seen this before, but usually it's with two binomials. So imagine that's not there. And we've learned to multiply this out by doing an acronym called FOIL, where we do first, outside, inside, last. It's still a very similar concept. We're going to be distributing these two terms to all three terms in here. I like to do this step one, distribute the first term, step two, distribute the second, add like terms, and then you're done basically. So let's go ahead and see what that's going to look like. So we have 2x times 3x squared, so that's going to be 6x cubed. And then we have 2x times negative 5x, so that's negative 10x. And then 2x times positive 2, so that's going to be plus 4x. So there is the first step. I have distributed the first term. Second step, distributing the plus 2. And it's going to be 2 times 3x, so it'll be 6x squared. And I'm going to write it down here. And I forgot to square this. There we go. And the reason why I line that up is so I'm lining up my like terms. That's going to make it easier for me to simplify. And then the next step is going to be minus 10x plus 4. Okay, so now I can add my like terms, and as I can see, they are already conveniently lined up. And so we're just going to add them. So nothing happens to a plus 4, and then this ends up being minus 6x, and this is going to be minus 4x squared, and then this is going to be 6x cubed. That doesn't change. And so we are done. We have simplified it. We've added all of our liked terms, so we're done. Our next example is the same concept, only difference being instead of the binomial being in the front, it's in the back, but I can still work my process the same way where I still distribute the first term and then the second term. So step one is x coming to all three of these parts. So 3x cubed minus 2x squared minus 2x. There's step one. Step two is the negative 2. And we're going to end up with negative 6x squared plus 4x plus 4, and then we are going to add our like terms. And notice that I'm keeping the signs each time I'm simplifying. And that's it. We're done. Every like term has been added, we've distributed, so we're good to go. The second concept in this lesson is dividing polynomials. Now, before we start actually practicing, I do want to help us remember what it looks like to do long division. So I just made up a problem. This isn't in your book. Don't go looking for it. You won't find it. But this is just to help us remember our process when we are dividing, because I know for many of us, it's been a long time since we've actually done long division because we have our calculators. But if you're going to do dividing polynomials, you need to remember this. So when I'm looking at this, I'm going to see 62 divided into 82, and I'm going to say 1. 1 times 62 is 62, and then I subtract it from the original, which gives me 20. I bring down the 9, and I repeat the process. And so 62 can go into 209 about 3 times. So 3 times 62 is going to be 186. I'm going to subtract it, and I'm going to write 23. And I'm going to bring down the 4, and I'm going to keep going and such. Let's do one more, and then I'll show you what we're going to do with our remainder. So this is going to be 3 again, almost 4. And so we already know it's going to be 186. And then our remainder is going to be 8, 4. So 48. With my remainder, I'm going to say 48 over 62. I write my remainder as a fraction. That's going to help us to remember as we start to divide polynomials. So now let's take a look at actually dividing polynomials. Okay, so the problem that they gave us is 2 plus 5x minus 2x squared plus 5x cubed is divided by negative 4 plus x. First off, before I can actually start dividing this, I need to rearrange both of these parts to be in descending order, meaning x cubed, x squared, x, and then our constant. So right now, this is completely backwards. So I need to redo that, and I also need to redo this one to have x minus 4. So this part is going to go on the outside, and then the longer one is going to go on the inside. I have x minus 4 on the outside, and then on the inside, we're going to have 5x cubed minus 2x squared. Notice I'm keeping the signs attached to the terms that are next to it. And then plus 5x plus 2. Okay, so now I can divide. So I'm going to erase all of this. Okay, so when dividing, I'm going to look at my first term here and my first term here. And I'm going to ask myself, how many times can x go into 5x cubed? And the answer is 5x squared. But I'm going to write it over the other x squared. Okay, and then I'm going to take this part and I'm going to multiply it to both terms, just like I did with long division. So 5x squared times negative 4 is negative 20x squared. And then this will be 5x cubed, right? Because 5x squared times x is 5x cubed. That was the whole point, was to get these two to be the same. Because remember, I'm going to subtract this whole problem. That's what we do with long division, is we subtract that number. When I do, the x cubes are gone. That's what I wanted. So now I have negative 2x squared minus negative 20. So this actually becomes positive 20x squared. So that's going to leave us with 18x squared. And then I'm going to bring down plus 5x. And I'm going to do this all over again. I'm going to ask myself, how many times can x go into 18x squared? And the answer is 18x times. And then I'm going to take 18x and multiply it to both parts. So 18x squared, that's what we wanted. And then minus, this is going to be 72x. And then we're going to subtract again. Again, x squareds are gone. That's what we wanted. So we have 5x minus negative 72. So that's a plus. So this will end up being 77x. Bring down the 2. Okay, and then now we have x can go into 77x 77 times. Okay, so 77x and then minus, and I'm going to get my calculator for 77 times negative 4 just to make sure I get it right. Okay, so we have 77 times negative 4. It's going to be negative 308. And we're subtracting the whole thing. 77x is gone. And then I have 2 plus 308, so that's going to be 310. And when I get my remainder, I'm going to write it up here as a fraction over my divisor. So plus 310 over x minus 4. And the reason why I say plus is because 310 is positive. So because I had my remainder as a fraction, we're done now. But the biggest thing that you have to remember is you're subtracting this whole line. So that's why every time I put the whole part in parentheses so I can remember that this negative is getting applied to both parts. A very common mistake I've seen in the past is we forget that this second one is also getting this negative, which changes the entire answer. So let's do another practice. Our next example does change a little because we have x cubed and our constant, but we don't have anything that's x squared or x. And what I want to remind you is just because we don't have those listed here doesn't mean that they don't exist. If I had the number 5002, I wouldn't write 52, I would write zeros in place of those other two place values because they do still exist. And so that's what we have to remember here. So let's see what that's going to look like. So as we begin to write our dividend inside right here, we're going to go ahead and put it in order of descending exponents. So we're going to lead off with our x cubed, and then we're going to say plus 0x squared because I do have to have a placeholder for that place value. And then plus 0x, and then minus 6. And then once again with our divisor, we have to have it in descending order as well. So this is going to be x minus 2. And then we're just going to take the same steps that we did last time. I'm going to change colors. And so we have to ask ourselves, how many times can x go into x cubed? And it's x squared. And then we have x squared times negative 2, which will be negative 2, x squared, and then we have x cubed, and those cancel out. So we have 0x squared minus negative 2x squared. So that's going to be positive 2x squared. Bring down the 0x. And then how many times can x go into 2x squared? And the answer is 2x. And notice that each time I'm writing this, I'm putting an addition or subtraction sign in between. This whole problem is not going to be multiplied to itself. So now we have 2x, and we're going to multiply that. So we're going to get 2x squared minus 4x, but we're subtracting the whole thing. Those are gone, and we end up with 4x. Bring down minus 6, and x can go into 4x 4 times. So this whole thing will be subtracted, and we get 4x minus 8. Those are gone. So we have negative 6 plus 8, so that's going to be 2. So plus 2 over x minus 2. And this whole part is my answer. And then we're done. All right, well, that's it for lesson 16, multiplying and dividing polynomials. Just to let you know, there is a calculator program that does dividing polynomials for you, and I'll be sure to list that link down below in the details and description of this video. So I'll see you guys in class.